What is going on, guys? Yay Cars here, and in today's video we're going to be going over 5 supercars that I found which are under 100 grand, and you actually won't lose a lot of money if you buy them. To preface, the title probably says that you won't lose any money. You're going to lose a little bit of money. Everyone knows that there's car insurance, there's gas, there's maintenance and all those things, but for the most part the cars on the list are pretty much made up of cars that don't lose a lot of money to depreciation, and you can drive a lot of miles, and maybe you'll lose a little bit, but compared to like buying a brand new car, it's almost nothing. So when I was compiling this list, I looked for 3 specific prerequisites for every car, and the first one is that you lose no money from depreciation. And what I mean by this is that most cars in this list have probably hit their maximum depreciation curve. So if you don't know what that is, the depreciation curve is basically a point in where the car hits its maximum amount that it's going to depreciate. So obviously it'll still depreciate more, but it just won't depreciate as much as it does in the first, for example, in most cars it's 2 years. And then the next thing is that they're all under 100 grand. So this is really important to me because it's something that is relatable to most of us. I could have picked a car that was $500,000, like a Ford GT, or like $1 million, like a Senna, and these cars actually appreciate. They go up in value. Like a Ford GT now costs like $2 million, but none of us can afford this. It's almost impossible to get. So that's why I try to keep it under 100 grand, more relatable to us, and we can all probably buy if we work hard enough. And the third and last prerequisite is that they're all kind of supercars. So what do I mean by this? And unfortunately, not to hate on NSX, not to hate on Supra or GTRs, I absolutely love those cars, and I think they're in a class of its own. But when an average person sees an NSX or they see a GTR, they're like, oh wow, it's a nice car. But when they see like a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, an Aston Martin, a Porsche, like wow, look at that car, So I didn't include those cars, even though an R35 GTR will have crazy supercar performance. It's actually faster than a lot of other supercars around the track, around 0 to 60, but I didn't include that for that specific reason, where it doesn't have that hoorah kind of feeling of a supercar. And lastly, just before I get into the list, it's important to know that there's no real ranking. I didn't really rank these in accordance to how good of a deal or how good of a car they are. It was kind of just deciding what I found first. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first car on the list is the Lamborghini Gallardo, and I felt I just had to include this car in the list. Lamborghini is such an iconic supercar brand. Every single person from my grandma to my little sister, they all know what a Lamborghini is, so it'd be a crime not to include this car on the list. So for this car, the price ranges from $75,000 all the way to $100,000, and that's for the 2004 to 2007 model year, and it's dependent on the mileage. So obviously 2004 with 35,000 miles is going to be around $75,000. And if you could buy this car for that much, a 2004 for $75,000, you could probably drive that car for 15,000 miles and could not see this car dropping less than $70,000. The only thing, again, and this is going to be a recurring theme, is that maintenance of these cars are going to kind of be expensive, especially because the car has no warranty. So for example, if you do buy this car and you can find a place that has a bumper-to-bumper warranty, I would 100% recommend taking that. But if you don't, you just have to realize that that's probably going to be your #1 cost on this car. It's just maintenance. Following the Lamborghini, we have their Italian rivals, the Ferrari 360 Modena, in that classic red color. This is older than the Lamborghini by a couple of years. So for this car, we're looking in the 2001 to 2005 model year range. So for the cheapest one I could find, it was around $60,000, and it was pretty high mileage, above 25,000 miles. And then the ones that had decent mileage were around $85,000 to $95,000, and they were all under 10,000 miles. So again, biggest issue with this car, reliability. You just have to remember that, when these were brand new, they were $200,000 to $250,000 cars. But when it goes time to maintain them and go to repair them, they're going to have the maintenance cost of a $250,000 car. So similar to the Lamborghini, the biggest thing you can do with this car is just get a really good warranty. So the third car on the list is the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. So this car is actually the cheapest car on the list. And before I tell you the price, I'm going to show you a couple photos of this car, and I kind of want you guys to guess how much you think this car costs. Okay, so to preface, all the cars I showed you are 2007 to 2009 Vantage with roughly 45 to 55,000 miles. So the price, 33 to 37 grand. Pretty crazy, huh? I think this is the best car you can get in terms of being cheap and looking exotic. 33 grand, that's basically the price of a Toyota Corolla fully spec'd out nowadays. It's pretty crazy, huh? Again, and it feels like I'm just repeating myself with all these older cars, is that long-term maintenance and reliability is going to be such a huge factor. I don't know how many of you watched Doug DeMuro's video regarding when he bought a new Aston Martin and how often he used his bumper-to-bumper warranty.
With an unlimited mileage, bumper-to-bumper warranty.
So I feel like the next car on this list is going to be pretty controversial because it ultimately depends on what your definition of a supercar is. So is a supercar something that looks crazy and looks super exotic and looks flashy that, kind of grabs everyone's attention? Or is it something that has crazy good performance, super fast 0 to 60, super fast around the track? And this ties in previously where I mentioned I wouldn't be including the R35 GTR just because it didn't have that kind of supercar feel. So again, this one might be a little bit controversial. And this car definitely has the looks. It looks crazy. It has that billion-dollar doors. It has the lines. It has everything that a supercar needs to look like, but it just lacks the performance. And it's the BMW i8. So you actually would be really surprised with how much the i8 costs now. And we're looking at actually newer models, so 2015 to 2016. There's a pretty large range in how much it costs because of the mileage, but it's anywhere between $54,000 to $70,000. With the absolute best examples, low mileage, really great spec, topping out anywhere around $78,000 to $80,000. And like I mentioned, performance is the biggest thing. Like, this car has a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder hybrid engine. It's not quick by any means. It doesn't handle well. It doesn't have an exhaust note. Like, I'm pretty sure it sounds terrible. If you really want this car because of the looks, I can't think of a better car to buy. Every single person who going to see this car is going to think it's worth like $200,000-$300,000, and inside is really nice. It has that nice BMW interior, nice whatever material they use inside, I don't know. You don't really care about performance and you kind of want to have a car that looks really cool and looks really expensive, then this is the one to get, especially because I don't see this car dropping much in value. I think this car would probably depreciate more than the other cars because it is newer. This is a 2015 to 2016 model, so I could see this kind of dropping, $3,000-$4,000 within a year and a bit, especially because the new one came out. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good buy if you base it solely on its looks. So the last car on this list, and my personal favorite, is the Audi R8. This car, in my opinion, has it all. It has the looks, it has decent performance, it drives well. It surprisingly, compared to every other car on the list, is the most reliable. It still has that supercar reliability, but it's the most reliable out of them because it is an Audi. And honestly, when I saw this car in Iron Man, when Robert Downey Jr. was walking out, this was like the one that was like, I want this car. And if you get this gated 6-speed with that, clicking sound every time you shift, I personally think if you find the right deal, you will make money on this car, especially with the way of how manuals are going nowadays, where it's becoming more of a driver's car and that they're becoming more desirable and there's less in quantity being made, just the basic economics of, demand and supply, where people are going to want them and there's less available. This car will probably, in my opinion, be a modern classic and will appreciate in 3 to 5 years. This is just my opinion. So if we actually look into the specifics of it, we're looking into a 2009 to 2011 model year, and that's going to be the cheapest one, and they cost around $55,000, and they're all pretty high mileage. And if you're looking for a decent mileage car, you're looking around $60,000 to $65,000, and that's between 20 to 25,000 miles on that car. And what's interesting is that even the newer ones can be a really good deal. These cars, brand new, depreciate like absolutely crazy. I think, because I'm from Vancouver, so a brand new Audi R8 V10 plus performance, blah blah blah, is $230,000. So that's a 2020 whatever it is. And then after 1 year, this car will depreciate to around $180,000, $190,000 Canadian, and that's with like 2,000 miles on it. So it just has that classic, luxury German car depreciation in the first couple of years. So if you look at like a 2014 to 2015 Audi R8, they're only like $10,000 to $15,000 more than the 2009 one, but they're significantly lower mileage. If you want to spend a little bit more money, I think those are pretty good cars too to buy. They will depreciate a little bit more than the older models, but I still think if you want a newer car and you want, a little bit more features, a 2004 to 2015 R8 is actually not a bad buy compared to the other cars. And if you are really rich and really well off, there are a lot of cars you can buy that will appreciate in value. And I didn't mention them just because they're really expensive and most of us can't afford them, or you have to be on like a super special list. So some of the cars are like the Lexus LFA, the Ford GT, and that's the 2005. So 2005 Ford GT, the 2017 and 2019 Ford GT, the P1, the Senna, the LaFerrari, F12 TDF. There's a lot of cars that you can buy and will appreciate in value, but I just didn't include them for the fact that, one, they're stupid expensive. Like, I'm not going to be able to buy a LaFerrari anytime ever. And two, if you buy them, it's impossible to get them new, and that's an important factor. You know, a McLaren Senna new was $500 to $800,000 depending on the spec, and they're going for $2.2 million on the market. So obviously, if you bought it used, I'm not sure if you're gonna make money, but if you bought it new, you would. So to sum it all up, the 5 cars that you can buy that are all under 100 grand and you won't lose much money on if you buy is the Lamborghini Gallardo from 2004 to 2017, the Ferrari 360 Modena 2001 to 2005, the Aston Martin V8 Vantage 2007 to 2009, the BMW i8 2015 to 2016, and the Audi R8 V8 or V10 in a manual from 2009 to 2011. So if you find an absolutely great deal on these cars and it's been your dream to drive an exotic car like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, honestly, you should go for it. There's a chance that you might lose a little bit of money, but at the end of the day, if you absolutely love the car, why not? Go ahead and enjoy it and just experience a supercar and see how it is to drive one of those cars for even a year. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and you kind of learned more about how much older supercars are, and they're actually not that too expensive to buy. If you guys like this video, please drop a comment or even like the video, because of the way the algorithm works on YouTube is that the more people who like it, the more that this video will be recommended, and that really helps me out, especially because I'm just starting, and it recommends it to other people. So thanks, guys, and see you next time.